What's up, everyone? It's so good to see you here. If you are joining me live, of course, welcome. My name is Joshua Harrell, and I am here to talk about travel marketeering. If you're watching this on demand, hi to you too, but you can't participate down below in the chat. And you know what? I've got a voice today. If you can hear it, yeah, it's like I wanna sing, "She's got Betty Davis eyes." I don't know, it's doing something. I feel fine, but I don't sound it. Anyway, if you are joining me live, whatever platform you are watching me on, please join me in the chat. Let me know what's going on. I love to know where you're watching from around the world because I know you travel advisors and some of you travel suppliers too you're traveling right now. So, share where you are. We'd love that. We love that. Anyway, uh, if this is your first time to Travel Marketeering Live, again, my name is Joshua Harrell. I am the Chief Revenue Officer over at WorldVia Travel Network, a wonderful host agency based in Atlanta, but we have advisors all over the country. And am I am a brand strategist, and brand is everything to do with your business. It's how it looks, feels, sounds, what it wants to be. It is the everything. And what travel marketeering is all about is creating the systems, putting the structure. Sometimes it's just even thinking in a very structured way to come up with the strategies to build or refresh your travel agency brand. And some of you are solopreneurs. So that travel agency brand is your brand, right? So most Saturdays, I join you live, and we get to talk about a variety of topics. And the coolest thing about if you join live and you're participating in the chat is we get to make this event something that is unique because it's what you make out of it. So that's why I welcome your questions, your thoughts. Today we're going to be talking about a really cool topic, or at least I think it's a really cool topic. In travel marketing, I'm constantly talking about the same things over and over again. I share little stories, little tips, tricks, we dig into a variety of topics, but there's so many fundamental things that are always going to be the same, whether you're just getting started or you've been doing it for a while. And today I thought we would kind of start. I've been gone for a couple of weeks, so I thought we could start back with your first 90 days. What should you do in your first 90 days? And this is not I'm not gonna go into all the detail that if you're a member of WorldVia Travel Network, you have access to the launch checklist, the launch, you've got, our business growth manager, Mason. You've got access to all the real specific details, but I'm gonna give you broad strokes, first 90 days, what I would do if I was building my brand from the very beginning. So we're gonna talk about some things that maybe aren't so sexy and some things that can be really sexy. And if you're new here, I use sexy as basically cool or good. So I just think, if you think I'm sexy, come on, let me know, right? So we're gonna talk about a variety of things, but something I love about Travel Marketeering Live, for those of you who have come back again and again to join me, I love when you share your experiences. But today, I'm inspired by a book that I read, and I cannot remember the name of it, so don't even ask me. Um, but it was a book with a variety of business owners, okay? And they had all had various different levels of success, some not necessarily financial success, but the fact that they're still in business, that was the success. So what I loved about this book is the author, who was pretty brilliant to come up with a book that he didn't have to write. He asked all of these entrepreneurs, if you had everything was wiped out, you had to start from scratch. You don't have, you don't have money to invest. You literally woke up and you did not have your business anymore. Again, already successful, no matter how long it took them to get there, right? You had to start over in your first 90 days. What would you do? So that's the question I'm going to ask those of you who have been in business, reached various different levels of success throughout today, just whenever you get your thoughts together. How would you start with your first 90 days? Because I can talk about what I think you should do. But I know that those people who are just getting started and they've got multiple ideas running through their head, I know that they would love to hear from you on what you think you would do. So I know that don't get too, give me the Cliff Notes version, right? Because you can't give me a whole dissertation. Can't read that in the chat. But I'd love for you to share, and I'll bring it into the show whenever you drop it in. Okay, so do that. I'm gonna give a
Yeah, girl.
yeah, girl, that's British yeah, girl. She's been with me for a while, and I forget to use her. So I'm gonna give all of you not only a TM for travel marketeering, but a
Yeah, girl.
all right. And if you are new here or you have not yet done so, please join I got all these buttons here. Please join our private Facebook group. I'd love to see you guys chatting a little bit more in there. I love when somebody brings a topic and it gets going, but then it kind of like fizzles out. So I need you to use that group because it's a really clever group of fellow marketeers. Some people are just getting started. Some people have been so successful at building their brand, that you got a lot of people in there who want to help. Plus, you have my WorldVia team there, and you know what? They're pretty smart. I enjoy them. I enjoy them. I hope since you're on the YouTube, that was a joke. I don't actually say that, but since you are on YouTube, and if you are on well, actually, not everybody is on the YouTube channel, so I should back that up. If you are on the YouTube channel, WorldVia Travel Network on YouTube, please check out Laura De Vega. Most Thursdays, I always have to say that because sometimes we're traveling. Most Thursdays, Laura De Vega has Elevate Your Travel Agency, and I watched this week's episode Thursday night. I watched it live. I didn't wait for it to go on demand. And she gets into something, talk about not sexy, is talking about your financials, your business financials. Not sexy at all. But what I love about what Laura was talking about this week is she was giving you some real talk as it pertains to your business financials. And I'm telling you, if you didn't f if that's not something you've tackled yet, you need to listen, and if you have already tackled your financials and you've got a pretty good handle on it, she not only is going through the things that you need to be tracking, what you're looking for, all the details, right? She's giving you some specific examples that comes from her years of experience in travel. So, yes, please check that out and then make sure you hit to get the notifications when she goes live. Okay. All right. So before I get rolling in how to make your business a success or your first 90 days a success, before I get rolling into that, I want to go over to the chat and see what you guys are chatting about. Now, Anthony, it may not even be watching live, but I didn't remove him from my chat. So anyway, to get us started off, it's a TM from Anthony. If he's watching or not, we wish him TM, right? Rhonda joining. Good morning to you, Rhonda. TM back at you. Jennifer, good afternoon. Joining from Bonita Springs, Florida. I love it. Love it. Scenic Vacations. I'm not sure. I'm not placing your first name, Scenic Vacations. Sorry. Hello back at you, TM. Michelle, is that Michelle? It might be Michelle. Good morning. It's a beautiful Saturday in San Antonio, Texas. Having just come back from Texas a few weeks ago from the World 25 conference, I have a special heart in my a special place in my heart for Texas. What do you guys think of this raspy voice? Is it like giving you everything right now? I'm don't let me start loving myself here. I don't know. Diane, hi back at you. Let's see. Oh, Rhonda is still walking by the Trinity River in Fort Worth. Love it, love it, love it. Oh, Robert, I'm sorry. Robert, I did not, these business names, I don't quite connect. But Robert, it's good to see you again. And I'm glad that you're actually home this weekend. That's wonderful. Robin, oh, good to see you, Robin. Good afternoon from New Hampshire. Connie, there she is in Florida now, but heading to the forums this week. Connie, I will see you there. The forums, WorldVia's first series of forums is happening down in Florida, South Florida next week, and it's really cool. They're 1 day category focused events. There's three of them: one for cruise, one for beaches, all inclusives, and one for FIT river cruise. That World Explorer. I am so excited about this because not only is it going to have great partners, great content from our team, but you guys who have focused in on your niches get to talk uninterrupted about your category, right? So very, very excited about it. Connie, I can't wait to see you. Let's see here. Every now everybody's saying hello to each other. I love it. Diane said, I am home for the next month on Long Island as my dog recovers from knee surgery. Oh, well, we're sending your pup good vibes, and let's see. I've got a little look at that. It's a slow heart. There you go. Hope your pup does well. Robert, good to see you. Let's see here. My goodness. Rocky just got here. Love it, love it, love it. Um, okay, hold on a second here. Oh, we're starting to get into you guys giving me feedback. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, and Anthony is here. Anthony, good to see you. If you caught the very beginning, I had you loaded from the last time. So, okay. All right. So we've got some ideas here that I'm going to come back to because I definitely want to hit them. But I did see Rhonda. Okay, Rhonda. She said it took her more than 90 days to get it together. So I think that is a good note. And everybody, please take that note because to get yourself going, it can take more than 90 days, but she got it together. How about that? Right? I gotta forget. I can't
Yeah,
forget.
girl.
There you go, Rhonda. All right, so let's tuck in to 90 days. Like I said, I'm going to talk about things that are very much the things that we always talk about in travel marketing. We're going to talk about your niche. We're going to talk about who your customer is, right? We're going to talk about those things. But what I wanted to do today is I wanted to say, literally, the first 90 days, what would I do? And it's some of it is not gonna sound fun, but what I want I'm not saying sound fun, that's not what I meant to say, guys. I'm gonna reverse that one. It's not that. That's not what I meant. It's just it's not the, get out Canva and start drawing, that kinda stuff. So I'm gonna talk about some of the base components of just getting started with your business, but I wanna share some, experiences that I've had along the way, um, and why I'm putting this into a travel marketeering session, right? So I wanna talk about the just fundamentals of setting up, your business, your name, those types of things, and because for us, when somebody joins WorldVia Travel Network, if they don't have a business already put together, there's not only the decision of joining us as a host agency, there is the decision to say, who do I want to be as a brand? Who do I want to show up as a brand? So that just having that question is something that or having that step to the process I'm not using the right words here, but sometimes that makes it more complicated. So there's always I find that there's always a fear of just getting started. I feel like there is a river in front of all of us at any given time, not just about your business. There's a river in front of us at any given time. And some people just look at the river, some people put their toes in the river, and some people jump in. Some people need to be shouted out to jump in. That river is going to take them somewhere. We know it's going that way, but we don't quite know where. And that is terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. But let me just say that river and I are friends. And that river I have looked at before and somebody has shouted at me. Now I jump in, but I have never been disappointed by jumping into the river. It can be bumpy, it can be chaotic, but I have only ever been disappointed when I stood on the bank and didn't jump in. So that might sound a little, I don't know, magical. I don't know, but I do believe in that because that I not only have I experienced that, but I have had conversations. In fact, I just had a conversation with somebody just a few days ago that said the same exact thing. And it's that's that power of saying yes to things that are terrifying. Those are where not only can there be financial rewards, but personal victories, and they can really help you build your fortitude and just really give you a robust life experience. So I'm going to say, if you see that river in front of you, jump in. Okay, unless it's really cold, right? You might want to wait for it to warm up. I'm just saying, you might want to. All right, so let me pop over to. I've got some graphics I'll share with you, but let's talk about the first 90 days. So we talk about this all the time. You're not only a travel advisor, you are the marketer, you are the brand ambassador, you are the content creator, you're everything in your business. Of course, you're the small business owner, right? But if you build a strong brand foundation, and the brand foundation is just like I said at the top of the show, right? I'm a brand strategist. I work on the whole idea, not just a logo, not just the copy, not just the story, not just the Facebook ads, right? I all of that exists to support my brand, my business, right? So, you the having that brand, that a strong foundation for you to build on, it doesn't have to be fully fleshed out, right? It doesn't. It can just be a really solid foundation so you can grow from there. So you don't wanna overthink it. You don't wanna make it so complex that you can't get started, right? You don't have a business if you don't have sales. So you have to be selling. So we can't spend so much time building the brand or the idea of a brand, before we can start selling. So we're just talking foundational things, and always, always, while sometimes it can be a little tricky, if you ever need to change direction, you need to change course. It could be a small move or it could be a big move, like changing the name of your business. You can do it. Sometimes it's an easy thing. Sometimes it might be a little more complex. But this is coming from somebody. I got started my career. I'm going to pop over here. My career got started. If you don't know this about me, I got started working for a bath and body store. Okay. It got started in the 70s. Okay. And it it was based in California, and they had at the time I joined them, we had 25 stores, and I opened a store in Atlanta for this brand. Now, no one outside of the people that lived in California knew about this brand, okay? There was the body shop, there was Bath& and Body Works, but very few people in the world had ever heard of Bare Essentials, okay? So, it had lotions and potions and massage oils and body scrubs and, cellulite gel, we had everything. Um, but it was a fun store, it was a beautiful store, it was a beautiful store, and the products were lovely, but people just didn't hear about it. They'd always heard about Bath& and Body Works and Body Shop, been around actually, Body Shop started in the same year in the '70s. So, I started with that company, and a year after I started with the company, the CEO at the time, was there a year before me, she pulled a makeup line. It was like a natural makeup line, and it was hippy dippy, it was like, frangipangi powder, you just put it on your face, ground up minerals, whatever. And nobody bought that makeup ever, but she said, "You know what? I think that makeup is something." So fast forward, she comes out with this makeup line. It's a little table in our store. Nobody would buy that makeup. Nobody would buy that makeup. So, um, we still sold it, whatever. Then we ended up on QVC. Then more people saw us. Then we had an infomercial, and then it became a global brand. Now, you're thinking, well, that sounds like a wonderful success story, right? But how many of you have even heard of Bare Essentials? You probably have not, but you probably have heard of the brand called Bare Minerals. Now that is it's in Ulta, it's in Sephora, it's in all these stores. You can get it globally. I give that as an example because I told you we had retail stores. We were on QVC. When we went on QVC, we were branded as Bare Essentials. It was so hard for us to maintain. We were a Bath and Body store when our makeup was so successful. So what happened? We changed all those retail stores. We changed all the products. We killed all the Bath and Body products, right? And we just became Bare Minerals. So I say that to you because you, in your business, your agency, if you ever want to change course, you wanna rebrand? You can, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, okay? Some people just wanna throw away their brand because they're bored with it or they have an idea that they want to look like something else, but it really isn't they haven't really thought of the full strategy there. So, don't get carried away, you don't need to rebrand, but if you ever need to, you can. So, I just say that because some of the things we're gonna talk about, some of the things you might be experiencing right now are those beginning decisions. What am I going to be called, right? So let's dig into it. All right. Blah, blah, blah. And guys, I will get right to the comments in just a moment. Okay. So here's your foundation building. Okay. And some of this you might have already done, but let me just go through some of the steps here. So first, you got to get your business set up. That is something that's the base of what you're doing, right? You can learn how to be a travel advisor. You could work for another company. That's all fine. But if you are starting a business, your agency, you have to go through the proper steps in your state to register your business, get your business licenses. In order to have a business, you have to set up business banking. Well, I'm not going to get into IRS and all that business stuff, but you need to have this identity, this legal entity that is operating the business. So you need to set up the banking and all of those things. It's important to come up with your brand name and who you want to be before you make those decisions, to register your business, to get the licenses, to set up your banking. Because think about it, you're naming your bank account after your business, right? So if you want everything to match up, but it is something that you can change at any point. If you start with a business name and then you're like, "I'm gonna change my name," you can change it. So I don't want you to be overwhelmed or overthink it in the very beginning, but some of the work in figuring out who you want to be is something you can do. That's the thinking time you put into building your brand. So do that before you start getting your business set up, okay? Because it's gonna be once you've done that, it's so much faster to create your business name. How many of you started with a business name and it was just like a hope and a prayer. I hope that's gonna be the name that I like in a little bit. I'm sure a few of you I'm gonna skip to see if I've got you. Uh, let's see, yeah, so Robin said, "Haven't we all?" Yeah, so you got started and, you said, "Okay, this is gonna be my name," and then you register all these things, and then you're like, I don't know if that's what I wanna be called," and sometimes you kind of shoehorn yourself back into it, but what I always do is I start with that's what I was gonna say. I start with what I do this vision exercise, and I do this for everything. I do this for an event name, for, a consumer product. I go through this vision exercise, and you can close your eyes with me, and I just think about this thing that I want to do next. What does it feel like? And I start with feel like first, because if I start with the aesthetics, if I start with the name, it doesn't quite, I don't quite get there. I don't get there fast enough. I think that you can go that route, but I think it's like, why do we love fuchsia? I don't know. But I want it to be fuchsia. Okay, well, let's back up a little bit. Who are we going to, who are we going to be? So I have this vision of what I want it to feel like. You know what? I see myself. I want to. I'm just making up this stuff as I go. I'm sitting in my home office. I'm having video calls with my clients. Oh gosh, I see this. I'm working with a wife who is planning a trip for her small kids and her husband. Oh, and then he walks into the room and we have a little laugh because she introduces him to me. And oh, I'm going to get you guys to Europe. Okay. Now this is starting to happen here, right? Okay. It feels like Europe. It feels like families, um, probably young professional families, right? I start imagining myself in this place of where I want to be. And what does that evoke for me? So, something you hear me say often, if you've tuned in, uh, you are the brand. If you're a solopreneur, you are the brand. And it is very hard if you don't have a big network of people in your life. It's very hard for you to create another brand, another identity, and give that the attention it needs. So I often lean on myself, like the individual. What is it? My brand? It probably is. This is my brand. Now, someday I might want to break out and have additional agents in my agency, but I don't know that that's the goal. I think the goal is I want to have more of those video calls with the wife. She introduced me to the husband, right? It's Europe, it's families, right? So is it Joshua's Vacation Express? Vacation Express is a supplier brand. Okay, no, I'm not going to do that. But you just saw me catch myself in real time, right? So these are the things that I would do. Joshua's European Adventures sounds a little bit like a movie or a podcast. It actually might be a really good podcast. Okay, I'm gonna put a pin in that and come back to it. But I do like Joshua's travel, travel uh, experience. You guys could probably help me with a better name for that. And I feel like I just did this in Travel Marketeer Camp where I named myself Joshua's Vacations. Actually, I don't think that's what I named it. I can't remember what we did. You guys help me with it. But I'm just saying, I think this would be a personal brand, right? So, if I say Joshua's whatever, that means that there's probably some competitors. If I said Joshua Harrell's blah blah blah, whatever vacations, that narrows it down. There are other Joshua Harrells. I know
Yeah, go.
the world cannot handle it, but there are, right? So maybe one of them already beat me to it, right? So the next steps that I would do is, I would just brainstorm a few ideas. Some of you have said that you work with AI to, come up generate names, and if you have done that and if you've had this experience, here's a little tip, whether it's naming your company or, coming up with a campaign slogan. Sometimes when you're just building that thread within, AI, you get some of the same answers. So if you brainstorm excuse me, guys. Excuse me. If you brainstorm a few ideas beforehand and dump those in as here's what I'm thinking. Can you make these better? Can you think of something else? Oftentimes you'll nail an outcome that you're really happy with. So I would brainstorm a few ideas, maybe ask some friends and family. I say maybe because let's face it, we some of us are friends with people who are not that we love them. We love spending time with them, but, we don't love that they don't necessarily get all the things that make us us. So maybe ask them. It depends on who you ask, right? But just sit with it for a minute. You don't have to make a rush decision to name your business. Now, if you join WorldVia Travel Network, you do have to set up your business, right? You have to have your business information. We give you a little time to do that though, because we know in the past we didn't. You had to, before you could even start, you had to have all that information. And let's face it, you don't have, if you're new to the industry, you don't have your stuff together. You're not ready to name your business, okay? And we know too many people that have had to change course over time. So we give a little time. Again, you don't have to rush this, and it is important because it's something that there's not a right or wrong. There's just a at the end of the day, does it feel like you? And I've talked to so many advisors, agency owners who have said, "This is my company name, but I don't really feel it anymore." Right? I have a feeling that they didn't feel it in the very beginning either. It was like, okay, that's okay, that would work, right? But it didn't feel right. So I say sit with it for a minute, and then drop it into work with AI to develop the idea further. Even when you get an output from AI, that doesn't mean that that's the one you have to go with, right? Sit with those. I always say print it out, put it on the fridge, put it in the shower, just have it everywhere until you know it feels right. And when it feels right, it feels right. And go forward. Wait, no, you don't. Okay. Don't go forward yet because now I want you to go incognito mode in Chrome and I want you to search that company name that you're really loving, right? And see, does anything come close to that? Does anything come close to that? If you find any mentions of that, um, I would be inclined to move on to something else, tweak it a little bit to come up with something where you don't see anything that comes close to it. It is so disappointing, it breaks my heart, but there are so many people who have named their business one thing, and then lo and behold, they find out that there is another company with the same name. So so I can tell a story about one of the companies that became a part of WorldVia Travel Group. It was called Travel Quest. It had been around since the 90s, but there were other Travel Quest travel agencies in the country. So it was something that could never live on in a big way because there was already brand confusion around that name. There it was a one agency that had a very bad reputation. It was not a host agency, it was just a travel agency. And we would get at least once a month, we would get calls of a customer who was so unhappy with this agency. They thought we were them, but we weren't, right? So those are the things you just want to avoid, right? And if you can do it in the very beginning, which you can use some searches. It doesn't stop somebody else from starting the name. I mean, or having the idea at the same time. It doesn't stop that. But I find that if there's nothing close to it, there's nothing that can be confused when I do a search. I even go to the U.S. trademark search database and I do a quick search there, if I see anything that feels like it can be confusing, I just move on to another idea. And that's where you see companies, well, especially like drug companies, where they're just making up words, right? Because then it's clear you're not going to be confused with anything else. I don't suggest that for a travel agency. It just doesn't fit the vibe. But that's why you see that, because then you don't have to worry about, there being another company named the same thing. So once you have settled in on who you're going to be, then register that business name. Let me come back to my graphic here. Register that business name, get those licenses, set up the banking, and establish your legal structure. That's a first week thing. It's a first week thing when you're ready to tackle your brand, right? You're setting up your business. So, your foundational element is to decide who are you going to be? Who are you gonna show up in the world as? Then that first week, and it does not take long to set these things up. It literally it takes a week to trigger all the different things. Sometimes you might have to wait on a little bit of paperwork to do the banking, right? But the banks are so easy to work with. They love business accounts, so very easy to do. Once you get that business license, you've registered your name with the state, you've gotten your tax ID number from the federal government. All of those things just start to flow, but some of them are interconnected. If you if you search on our website, worldviatravelnetwork.com, we got a lot of information on getting started, but you can also do your own research. Setting up a business is not unique to WorldVia Travel Network, so there are definitely ways, guides to help you get there. But the first step before you even pull the trigger on any of those things is deciding who you're going to be. All right. Now, this is going into those just that first month, right? So begin the certification process. Their certifications not only give you train the education to help you be to be knowledgeable in what you're doing, and also uncover maybe some things about your brand that you want to infuse, but it's also just that way to get additional backup that you are truly a professional travel advisor. So the ones that I look at, some of them are very fast, or don't take long to do. Some of them might take a little bit longer, so you can start the process. But I love the Travel Leaders leisure specialists. I love that. There's also a corporate specialist. There's also more further niche like destination weddings, adventure travel. They've got quite a few different specialist certifications. But I do, for most leisure advisors, I think that getting started with that leisure specialist certification, super, super helpful, not only to get the lay of the land and to feel confident as a travel advisor, but that you get a little digital badge. You can also put it onto your agent profiler for travelleaders.com. So it's just another little point of distinction. And it's surprising how these little badges, these accreditations, give you a little subliminal signal to your prospects. It elevates you. It helps you stand out. It puts a validation that you are a professional. So I love get looking at the not looking at these. I love getting these. And some other ones that I love, the CLIA. CLIA has their own training program, and it is hands down. So many people respect this training program. So not only will you be extremely knowledgeable, but there is that nod to you being a professional. And I saw somebody in the chat, and I cannot remember who it was, but I saw that they had their CTA, their certified travel advisor. I believe that's the acronym break. That's how it breaks down. But the CTA is for the Travel Institute. Wow, I had to think about that one, right? So, that's from the Travel Institute. They have great programs. That is a nonprofit organization. I know several members of their board. So it is something that is an industry standard that's been around. Their training is excellent. It is very thorough. Don't get me wrong. It's very thorough. So these, when you see a travel advisor with the CTC, CTA, CTIE for the executives, right? These are these are things that these are badges that they wear on the back end of their name. These are very important to them to signal that they are a professional. So I would look for those professional credentials early on. It doesn't mean you can't start uh, doing business. It doesn't mean that you can't start building your brand, but it is something that you should start because so many other things are gonna get in the way of you getting that done, that if you don't start in that 1st month, I do feel like it's a missed opportunity. Doesn't mean you can't come back to it. If you haven't done it, you can. Don't worry about it, you can. Uh, but I just think if we were starting from the first 90 days, I'd say get that business set up, and then I would start working on those professional credentials. It's going to help you in multiple ways. Another one I'd like to mention is ASTA has their VTA program, their Verified Travel Advisor program. It is a newer program, but they're doing some really cool things there, and it's backed by a few of some of our favorite supplier partners. So that is another one to look into for sure, for sure. So there's lots of different ones, and there's also some supplier ones that give that little extra nod. I was talking to Lori from Silver Sea, and she's very, very big into education, and she's been a part of a Royal Caribbean group for a long time. And she was letting me know, hey, that Silver Sea training and certification, it doesn't take a long time, but it's entertaining. It is something that at the end you get a badge that you can use in your email signature or your email marketing, and it's just another way to get more power through knowledge, but then also signal to the world that you know what you're talking about. So that's why I feel like this is something that we do in the first month. Then of course we got to get into those traditional marketing things, guys. We got to get into the digital foundation. We've got to create your website, set up your business email. So when you're getting that brand, when you're settling on your brand and you're seeing, does this brand name work? Go ahead and register that URL for your website, and then that will be your professional email. Like these, they all tie into each other, but you want to make sure you have a professional email. I will tell you that I do know advisors that use a Gmail address for their business. Okay. And they have thriving businesses. Do not get me wrong, because I know some of them are crushing it. But I will tell you this, if someone is trying, if they're trying you out, they're just getting to know you, they're not sure if they're going to work with you, something that signals to them whether you're a professional or not doesn't mean that it's true. I'm just saying it's a subliminal signal here. If you have a professional domain name, um, that's based on your brand, right, versus Gmail, it it hits different. It's a little trust signal that I would not overlook. So if you are currently using a Gmail address, continue on. That is fine. But if you can start to move over to a branded domain, I'm telling you, it's a trust signal that you want to lean into, and I'm sure you've done it yourself. I'm sure you've gotten some marketing emails that came from a Gmail address, and you're like, that seems like a scam. So if that flags for you there, then think about what it might do for your future clients. So excuse me. Again, when you've decided on that brand name and you go and get your domain, also I want you to go and get those social handles, your at on X, your name, your company name in LinkedIn, your Google My Business profile, your come on, help me, Instagram, your Facebook, your TikTok. And if you don't want to set all those up in the very beginning, I don't care. You don't have to go and you don't have to actually use those platforms, but make sure you've secured your name there. Just go ahead and register your name in all those platforms. So you've got a login, you're using that brand name, because maybe today you're not, but maybe tomorrow you will. And it is such a kick in the teeth when and I can share it down below. This is not a shameless plug for you to follow me, although you could. If you notice down there in the trail, it says, you look at me, I'm at Joshua Harrell on all those channels, but YouTube and Facebook, I'm Josh Harrell. That's because somebody got to YouTube and Facebook before I did. Mm. Do you not think that that just burns me up? It still burns me up, and this has now been a very long time since that happened. But yeah, please follow me. You could definitely follow me. But that's just something. Again, I didn't secure it, and look, I just shared with you both my handles. That's fine. It's just not ideal. So again, what I would do in my first 90 days, that would be one of those things. And then another thing about the digital foundation. So if you're a member of WorldVia Travel Network, you have access to our free CRM. You've got access to Email Plus, our email landing page and email capture tool. So you've got tools, and there are other. If you're not with us, it's okay. If you've got other tools and things that you use, but this is the time in that first month when I would be making sure that I am capturing email addresses for my future newsletter that I'll be putting together. I've got a way for leads to be captured. so I can communicate with them. They'll go into my CRM. Those are again, that's a part of the digital foundation, not just marketing, but the brand strategy around now my lead generation, my capture. Okay, so digital foundation, get that done, and then something that's a little bit boring is your insurance and protection. So, that's what I said, non-sex not everything's gonna be sexy here, but making sure that you got your liability insurance, your errors and omissions, um, and also understand again, if you're a member of WorldVia Travel Network, we have an E&O policy, but you need to know what those limitations are, what those requirements are, how you would work with that, because we do highly recommend that you get your own. I mean, we've got a policy, but you want to get your own. There's I'm not even going to get into all of that stuff. That you need to go to World Via Pro and search for E&O errors and emissions and learn more about the ins and outs of that if you're unaware, but these are the things, again, the foundation, the first month. This is what I would do if I had to do it all over again. So I'm going to take a pause for a minute and I want to go and look at, because I asked you guys, what would you do in your first 90 days? What would you do in your first 90 days if you had to do it all over again? If you had to start from scratch, you have zero customers, you have nothing. So, what would you do? So, I'm going to pop back to the chat and see what you guys have to say. And again, I want to thank you guys for joining me live. It truly makes my Saturday wonderful when I get to spend time with you guys talking about the thing that I love. I'm not gonna say it's the thing I love the most. It's probably the thing I talk about the most and I get the most excited about. I'm very passionate about it, and that is travel marketeering. All right, let's pop over to the chat and let's see what's going on. I'm sorry that the camera keeps moving. I keep knocking this table here. All right, let's see here. I got to scroll up for a minute. Okay. Um, I just saw Smelly Cat. I don't know what we're referencing there. Let's see. Okay, so I kind of I know Connie. I know this is why she's going here. So Connie said, "Get systems, forms in place to streamline my business." I like the dot dot dot. By the way, I'm still trying to do this though. It's a work in progress. Okay, I know Connie. So I know this about Connie. I know that she is an operationally sound individual, a human being that loves her operations, right? So this probably is a thorn in her side because it's probably the thing that that she probably thought she would have tackled by now. It would have been some of the first things that she did, but it's something that is still bothering her. She doesn't have it completely done. And I'm gonna speak to my for myself here. When we talk about systems, and that's why I talk about travel marketeering and systems. I am somebody as I'm so frivolous and I'll shoot off in a million different directions, but I don't feel confident if I don't have structure. I can be very creative if I've got guardrails and I know that I am taken care of. Now, if you are a solopreneur in your business, your your ability to go and get customers, to stay motivated, I find, it makes a big difference if you've got the stable foundation of how you operate. So it sounds weird too. I said if you don't have sales, you don't have a business. So you're like, well, why do I need all these systems in place? Because some of us need to think through the process. So one future customer contacts me. What am I gonna do with them, right? And it's not, how am I going to tell them about Silver Sea and the amazing, voyage I can put together? It's not gonna be that. It's gonna be, how do they even contact me? Do they get an automated reply? How do they schedule time with me, or do I just call them over and over again? Do I text message them? If they text message me and I'm not available, what happens? So you go through all these things, right? And that can be debilitating for somebody like me. if I don't have that worked out, then I'm a nightmare. I just can't function. So thinking about those systems, then I not only like the lead, working the lead, but then working with the customer. How do I deliver my services, right? Those are things that if I just map out, and it's simple, it's back of the napkin kind of stuff that I would do. That is brand strategy, guys. You might not think it, but that is brand strategy. That is the service delivery. That is how I show up. That's how my brand delivers on its promise, right? So I'm gonna back of the napkin, I'm gonna just flow chart this out. That might take me maybe it takes me 30 minutes, and I'm gonna continue to add to it. I'm gonna continue to evolve over time. But just having that flow chart mapped out means that I don't have a bunch of stuff swirling around my head about my operational systems, right? That's that's sorted. I can move on to other things to swirl me up, but I've got that sorted. So I love that Connie brings this up because it in that first month, in that first 90 days, feeling like you know how you can work your customers, and you can build your business, even if you have 0 inquiries at that moment. The moment you have 1 inquiry, you feel like you've got confidence. The moment you have 15 inquiries in one go, there's a confidence there. To me, it's like that river, right? The momentum is there. I jump in and I make stuff happen. So I love that. I love the forms because what she's talking about with the forms is, there's all sorts of forms that you might use, but one of them would be a credit card authorization. However, you're going to handle credit card authorization, right? That sometimes I've seen people get. They finally land the customer, right? They've finally closed the deal, but then they can't finish the deal. The actual delivery of the service gets a little janky because they haven't thought through some of those components, so they don't have those things in place. Now, fortunately, if you're a member of WorldVia Travel Network, there's loads of information in WorldVia Pro. There's lots of different things to get you started there. And if you're not a member of our network, there's plenty of things online to help you pull all your things together. But I love the systems. I love the forums. I do think that that makes sense, even though it's not sexy, right? It's not how do I get customers. It's how I deal with the customers I have. That it makes a difference. All right. I love this. So I know Rebecca. Thank you, Rebecca, for joining. She said, I'm here because I'm getting my onboarding in place for future associates. I want to include whatever I learned today. So this is a great I love this about Rebecca. Rebecca's agency has done very, very well over the years. And now she's in a place very much like Connie in getting started in the first 90 days. It She's wanting to make sure she has everything in place for these associates getting started, these sub agents that are going to be working within her agency. So, having an onboarding program for a multi agent agency is the fastest path to success because I've seen advisors want to grow their agency and they want to bring on associates to work with them. And it becomes a huge drain on the principal of the agency, to be able to power up somebody and get them started. If you don't have checklists, documentation, how to train, the training, the in order the that advisor thinks will be beneficial for them. So having and if you're the associate that's joining this agency, if you step into a situation, you love Rebecca, you're like, "Oh gosh, Rebecca is an amazing leader. I can learn so much from her." Um, if I, in that first day that I have, the first time I'm working with Rebecca, if she can say, "Hey, here's what the first 90 days look like for you." And you're working in my brand, so we've already done that, but I want to create we need to create your brand within our brand, right? So what does that look like? Let's talk about it, right? So we figured that out. What's next on this checklist, this overview of my onboarding? It's you need to get started on your professional credentials. I'm here to help you. I'm playing Rebecca in this. I'm here to help you. I'm going to share all the things that I've learned. But one of the things I learned is that having some professional credentials will get you further faster. So I want you to get started, and then she inserts in what she thinks would be the most beneficial for that particular associate. Those types of things. Then even this foundation that I brought up earlier, right? It's what's that digital foundation for that associate? Are they going to have a page on your website? Can they have a social media handle that's tied to the brand? And what are the rules for operating as your brand out in social on social? That is something that you want to work out, but it will give that associate who's onboarding with you, it will give them a lot of confidence. So, excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. So getting them onboarded correct in a way that feels structured, even if you need them to go and grab different pieces, or you need to grab different pieces to execute this onboarding, having a 90-day plan will make them feel more confident, comfortable, and get them producing for your agency much faster. Okay, sorry. Gonna I get on a tangent there. Um, let's see. Welcome, Brian. Brian's joined WorldVia Travel Network from another host agency. Glad to see you there. Anthony, yes, Anthony is in Orange County, California. And Anthony, I want to thank you. I asked Anthony for something this week, and I think I emailed him probably very early in the morning on the East Coast, and I wasn't thinking about him being in California, and I was like, "Gosh, I hope Anthony responds to me." Anyway, so sorry. Let's see, Connie, yes, I can't wait to see you, and a TM to you. Let's see, Rhonda. Okay, so Rhonda, let's dive in here. The first thing I did was focus on what my brand was going to be, what my niche would be, and how that would be connected through my full brand, colors, logo, and then carried my branding through even my signature outfits. I love that. That's fantastic. So she's got it going on, right? She is thinking about her brand identity, and she's painting with all the colors of what's it? "And I paint with all the colors of the wind." Is that what it is? Anyway, I don't know that I needed to sing with my Betty Davis voice here, but or Kim Carnes voice, sorry. Uh, but so she got her brand identity together, and then she thought about the colors, the logo, and then she's even brought that into the real life with her signature outfits. Now that might sound to somebody who's overwhelmed by getting started, right? That might sound like very frivolous artist kind of stuff, but it makes a difference, just ironing those things out so you can incorporate little now I only I if I have an accessory for anything, like a bag, shoes, or whatever, I try to find it in purple first. That's my brand color. So I try to incorporate that in everything, even personal, like stuff I'd wear to the gym, because it's my brand. I live in my brand. It isn't something I just put on during the work hours. It's me. I live in this brand, so I've got to represent this brand. So I love that thought in the very beginning versus waiting 6, 8 months, 12 months to put this together makes a huge, huge difference. And that's how she shows up. That's how she shows up. I love it. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, Brian's going into stuff. Brian, I'm not gonna. He said I specialize in multi destinations. Destination Europe vacations bring several loyal clients with me. Brian just joined WorldVia Travel Network, so I am excited for you. You're ready to get started, Brian. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, again, welcome, welcome. Let's see. All right, Rhonda said. What helped speed things up was using AI, multiple platforms to bring my ideas together and make a cohesive story. So, Rhonda, I'm gonna touch on that because I this week I got to speak on a panel at ASTA's Legislative Day, and we started talking about AI. And I stopped everybody. You can watch this on ASTA's Facebook page. I stopped everybody and said, "Guys, I want to start a movement." And I paused for a minute. I did not have this planned out. It just kind of came up because everybody was talking about using AI, and people acknowledge that sometimes people feel like it's cheating. And I got on my soapbox and I said, "Can we stop saying using AI?" So I'm enlisting you guys in this movement. We're not using AI. We're working with AI. It makes such a difference, just a mindset change to say, "I'm working with AI," just like I'm working with Rhonda, right? If I worked with Rhonda and she lives wherever Rhonda lives, right? And I'm like, "Rhonda, we need to come up with a brand signature color, for our outfits," right? I'm gonna talk to Rhonda, and I'm gonna tell her about the brand, and then she's gonna say, "So would chartreuse be good?" And I'd be like, "No, it doesn't fit the brand," right? I need it to be more, probably more jewel tones, right? And then she's like, "Well, what about like a sapphire blue?" I'm like, "Oh, now you're talking. I like that. Maybe something a little bit different, right?" Guess what? Rhonda could be AI because I'm working with Rhonda. It's a back and forth. I'm giving her a little bit of information. She's telling me what she thinks. That I'm saying, "You know what? I don't really like that, but I love this." And then she comes back with something more. That's me working with Rhonda. How is that any different from working with AI? And the example I used was, if you've ever watched Star Trek, well, any of the Star Treks really, but Next Generation, I remember, they'd be like, "Computer, can you run me an analysis of what the Romulans did, da 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 da?" And then the computer would be like, "Blah blah blah blah," and then the captain would be like, "Well, what about this?" And then computer would come back with something. Guess what? AI. This is what it is. So I just say, let's embrace AI and let's work with it and make it help us do things much faster, more well-rounded, include loads of information that you don't have at the ready, but you do using working with AI. Oops, it's a habit, right? It's a movement. We gotta do this. So who's on board? Can I get a TM from you guys? If you're on board, then let me get a TM. But I love that you're talking about that using it because it it sped things up. It helped to bring her ideas together and make a cohesive story. Listen, guys, you can work with AI. Oh gosh, now that I said that, I'm going to keep messing it up, right? You can work with AI to say, maybe you've written a couple of paragraphs about your brand, who your brand is. Um, Put that into an AI tool and say, "Hey, I want to tell a more robust story, right? Can you help me make this more robust?" Then you get something. You're like, "Oh, I like that. Can you go into more detail on this particular thing, right?" And then it does, and you're like, "Wow, I never thought about that. That's perfect." And you know what? When I look at that, I think of Scarlet Red. I'm telling you, you get inspiration from all sorts of places, right? So having working with AI to flesh out your stories, so helpful. And then from there you can say, "Hey, can you write an about page for my website? Can you create a social profile bio for me based on this information? I want it to be, this is going to be unique to my Facebook page," right? This is just like if I was working with Rhonda and she was helping me with this stuff. It's just like it. It might be better. I feel like Rhonda's got flair, so I feel that that's already there. I'm not gonna take that away from her. I'm just saying it's if you start to imagine it as a person, a teammate that's wants to help you succeed, you can do some really cool things, and I think there's no limit to the things that you can do. I've seen some really cool things. So super proud of you, Rhonda. Um, let's see here. Oh, Connie said, "I actually bought a Bare Essentials kit back in the day when it was on TV. Well, Connie, I don't think you bought it from me because I think we would have known each other then. But thank you for supporting me back in the day. I appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, Robin, thank you for this tip. Robin said women of travel leaders just did a great webinar about taxes and setting up your business. Guys, go check that out. A big plug to women of travel leaders. I got invited as an honorary woman. It was an ally, but I kind of made it something. A woman of travel leaders back in June, and got to participate in an in-person event with them. And what a fantastic group, very inspiring group. And some of the knowledge in that room, I'm telling you, in awe, in awe. So get get inspiration, get advice from loads of different sources. But I love Robin, thank you for sharing that. I really, really I appreciate that. Um, okay, so Rocky is gonna give us a story here. I was originally gonna name myself, Imagination Expeditions, but through a poll, everyone liked Flights and Fables. I love that. So, Rocky, I because this isn't I mean, it's live, but I can't go back and forth that easily because there are lots of chats coming through. I wanna say, did you do this poll, like, was it something that you did through Facebook? Like on your personal page, or was it something you just polled different people you knew? There's loads of options, but I love that idea because I love imagination expeditions. I love that idea. So if you have a bunch of good ideas, put them out in the world and see what people think. I've even done that with logo ideas, logo concepts. I've got 3 concepts that I really love. Does anything strike your fancy more? And sometimes I didn't go with their answer. At the end of the day, I really liked the answer that I had, but or the idea that I had, or maybe I was leaning more towards one. But sometimes you'll get somebody's take on something that you weren't expecting, and you're like, "Oh, that makes a difference." So I think that's really cool that you did that, Rocky. And just if you guys look up Flights and Fables, Rocky D'Amico's agency, I think you'd be really impressed with the way he tells his story visually, as well as in his copy, because he has a point of view and it is there, right? It is not something you have to go and figure out. It is there. You can quickly tell what he does, and I think it's brilliant. So, way to go. Let's see here. I want to just move this along just a little bit. So, I talk about this all the time, developing your value proposition. What makes you different? So we've kind of heard from some people already identifying their niche. Brian already knows what his business is, right? So he shared that information. But figure out what what your niche is going to be. And this is not something you have to do overnight, but it is something that you want to hone in quite quickly. And there's some differing opinions on identifying your niche. Somebody I respect in this industry. She had a very similar background to me. I love her to death. She was one of my best friends, but she and I don't see eye to eye on this. Now, actually, I do understand her point, but I I am definitely a brand strategist who is in marketing and sales and service delivery. I don't play favorites. It's my business. I'm in the business, and I know that it has multiple dimensions to make a brand happen. So this is where my advice is always going to come from. But her perspective is, you don't need to pick your niche, right? You can do that at any time. Excuse me, guys. I am gonna like choke to death, and it's just gonna happen live on YouTube. Sorry about that. Um, she feels like you don't need to start your niche. You don't have to identify your niche right away. That can come naturally. I get you, girl. I know that. Let me give her a yeah,
Yeah,
girl.
girl.
I know. I get you, girl. I understand where you're coming from. But what I also know is if I don't identify my niche, I can't double down on my education and my knowledge in this particular in a particular area. I'm just I'm I'm just subject to wherever the wind blows, right? I can't do that, right? I need structure. I need to know I've got a plan and I'm working on that plan. So I can master something if I identify what I'm gonna be the master of, right? So, I do that, and then the other thing is from a brand, awareness perspective, if people can't tell what I do, then I'm making it harder for them to make the decision to work with me. So I don't mind going with a broad stroke. This is a category. I do European vacations, and that could take the form of FIT. That could take the form of package tours. That could take the form of river cruises. Those are things that can be in my mix. So it could be a pretty broad stroke, but I need to put my attention in one particular area because then not only can I build out the brand assets, I can make sure that I'm communicating, I'm signaling what I sell. But then if I do any paid advertising, I know exactly who I'm looking for. I don't have the budget to market to advertise to everybody that might want a vacation. I can't afford it. Now, can I afford people looking for a river cruise vacation in France? I probably can. So, my friend is not wrong, and I do believe I know so many successful agencies that started one way and ended up another in another product category, or maybe just expanding their categories. But that and that's absolutely can happen, and that absolutely works. But I get really practical when it comes to this. If people can't tell what you do, it takes them a long time to make the decision to work with you. So, and Rebecca, you were talking about bringing associates on. I think that's a really important lesson for them as well because I'm sure they're in charge of getting their own leads and working their leads and their customers. So if they're operating within your brand, yes, your brand, you generates leads, but if them showing up with their online presence and then through their network, if people can't understand who who that person is and what they do, then it's going to make it much, much harder for them to be successful in your agency. Um, yeah, man, I really went there again, didn't I? Let's see here. I'm gonna come back to this. Buh, 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 buh. Hold on. There we go. All right. So, gonna share this. This might sound like a little bit of a behind the scenes planning step, and it is. But going back to knowing your systems and how you're going to operate, um, many of you, even if you're not operationally minded the way Connie is, uh, I think you'll benefit from just again sitting with the back of a napkin and writing some things down. So, what are your revenue goals? What are they, right? Don't I will tell you this, don't you dare say, "I'm gonna make $1,000,000 my first year," because 'cause I'm just saying maybe you will, but I would be surprised. If you have never sold travel before and you're getting started, you got to be realistic. And I'd say many of the people who I know that are watching right now will chime in and say they hadn't even sold any travel within the first 90 days. So let's just be realistic about it. I would say if you've not sold anything before, not sold travel before, I would be very realistic about your goal needs to be I want to get X amount of leads from my website in the first 90 days, and that number is probably like 3. I'd love for it to be more, but depending on what leverage you're pulling, getting traffic to your website in the very beginning can be it takes a little bit for that to happen. But, I wanna get X amount of leads from my website, and then you should be working very, very focused on landing your first proposal, like getting that first proposal out. So you make little goals to then eventually get to I closed my first customer and I made $100. I'm just throwing out random numbers right now, but set little goals, revenue goals around different aspects of working with a client and then continue to grow that. See what works. turn that up what works, turn down or change out, swap out the things that weren't working. But have something where you're constantly growing as you go. And then you can start to look at, okay, this month I want to get X amount of revenue. This quarter I want to get X amount of revenue. The next month I want to increase that by 30%. When you start working in percentages like that, percentage increases, it's not like I'm gonna double it, right? It's a small. Sometimes it could be just 2 more. Sometimes it can be 6 more, right? It just keeps growing. You wanna keep growing, but make sure you can hit your first goal. And guys, if you're watching live and you got started with your business and drop, if you feel comfortable, drop in how many months it took before you got your first lead. And then how many months it took before you got your first proposal, and how many months until you got your first customer, like that made a purchase with you, because that right there, I think people who are just getting started would love to see what that really looks like. And everybody's different. I mean, I think there's some similarities, but everybody's different. So please, if you feel comfortable, drop that in. Just share with others what that really looked like for you, because maybe they'll beat you. Maybe that's their benchmark, right? I don't know. So going back to this, I want you to think about how many new clients you need to get, establish those conversion rates. How many do I get from my website? How many do I get from other events and activities? And as a part of like identifying who you're going to be, what you're going to be known for, those supplier relationships are paramount. Okay. Paramount. If you have decided who you want to sell, and you've not reached out and called the strategic account manager or business development manager, who is in charge of your business. If you're a member of our network, you can find them on Supplier Source. If you have not done that yet, you need to run, don't walk. You need to leave them a voicemail today and say, "Hey, I'm Becky, and I am going to be selling. My niche is this. I started my business a few months ago. I'm working with a few clients, but I'd love to meet you. I'd love to put a face to a name. Blah blah blah. Go." And then they'll reach out to you. You guys will get to know each other. That every single advisor that has put an emphasis on their partner relationships in the very beginning, every single one has said that was the wind beneath their wings, in being successful. So I want to recommend that. Get to know them, and believe me, you both will learn from each other and grow as human beings by just reaching out. So please, please do that. They want to hear from you even if you haven't sold anything yet. They want to hear from you. Know about their business. Don't expect them to train you. That's not going to happen. It Know about their business, do their training, talk to them, knowledgeable about their business. They're going to share things, insights, and things that you would never know. And hey, if they've got an event coming up, they might invite you to that. I mean, just the wheel starts to turn when you do that. Um, I was talking about the getting the specialist certifications and things like that. Um, Always schedule time that for you to take a break. In this industry, you are never going to stop learning. You're going to continue to be learning, growing. You're going to be uh, uh, sharing knowledge with other advisors. It just never stops. I know people who've been doing it for 40 years and they're still learning every day. I've seen people sit in the front row of a presentation with a supplier partner who has been doing this for donkey's years, and they're writing things down in their notebook. I'm looking at 'em like, "Do you not know this already?" Because you never know what you don't know, and you never know what's going to inspire you or what you're ready for in that particular moment. So you're always going to be learning, but I would highly, highly recommend that you schedule time with yourself to make sure that you're learning something. Now, some of you probably have a practice where you're going through emails every day, and you're watching webinars. Schedule those webinars. just like the women in travel leaders talking about setting up your business. Those there's so many opportunities to learn. Just make sure you schedule time for it. Don't let that don't always keep your tools sharp. Right? Always keep your tools sharp. So schedule that time, make it happen because you never know where inspiration's going to come and you don't know what you don't know. Okay, so make sure you're there. I know that chat is popping off, guys, from everywhere, and I am glad that you guys have answered the call. I just had a lot of content to go through, so I'm gonna come back to you in just a moment. I wanted to just show you a quick 90-day action plan that has these just quick mentions, blurbs of the things that how I would bucket things. So, whoops, didn't mean to. There we go. So, week 1 through 2, sorry, complete that business setup, obtain the licenses, get the banking going, create your basic digital presence with social media. You don't have to go crazy with it. It doesn't have to be finished. Your website and your social media is never finished. Never think it will be finished, guys. It's never going to be finished. But go ahead and get that started. Month 1. So now we're looking at, you're doing it through week 1 through week 4. But get your systems in place, establish the supplier relationships, begin certifications, create your unique value proposition. And like Rhonda said, I would work with AI, make AI your buddy, and have a nice back and forth to develop that unique value proposition. And guys, you might think that your story is so boring. Everyone else is the same way. Okay, maybe the way you're looking at it, but work with AI, go back and forth, get inspired from other agencies or even companies that are not agencies, companies that just have really cool marketing. I always look at the Walt Disney Company, all the things that they do. I don't love everything they do, but I get so inspired by an email they send out, a social post. And it has nothing to do with Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. It just inspires me to think about something else. So always be open for inspiration, but continue to work on that. Getting what makes you different as an agency or how you're going to deliver your service, ironing that out. It's a huge, huge component of your brand strategy. Don't overlook it. Don't gloss over it. It's important. Um, then in month 2, get all that stuff set up. In month 2, get in the strategy, right? Like, think about your goals. Where are you gonna market, right? Are you going to advertise your business on, Facebook? Are you gonna do, Google advertising? Maybe not in the beginning. Maybe you are, right? Think about what you wanna do. I always say develop that content calendar right away. It doesn't have to be super complex, but figure out what you've got 12 months in the year and you want to send a monthly newsletter. Come up with 12 different email ideas and go ahead and build those out right now. Work with AI to build those out, right? Because you'll feel so confident knowing you've got 12 emails ready to send. Your email newsletter is ready to send. So if you have one person on your email list or you have 1,000, you have emails that can go. And with emails, you can create blogs, you can create social posts, you could create 7 social posts with every single email you create. It happens. It happens every day. Do it. Do it. Do it. Um, and then, in month 3, I always say this: get going, get smart, and get good. So month 3, think about, execute the strategy, track what's working, what's not working, and just keep on reiterating what you're doing to make it better. You've got to start somewhere, and then look at how things are performing for you, and then just tweak it little by little. You'll start with 0 email subscribers. You'll get 1. That's a win. Then next time you get 2. Next time, double that, get 4, right? It's got to start somewhere and it's going to start small. But once it gets going, it becomes this self-fulfilling machine. It just keeps on working for you as long as you keep everything running, you keep things operating, and you make it easy for yourself. All right. That's 90 days with a lot of color that I've added to it, but I wanna jump into the chat, and I wanna see what you guys were talking about because you guys were going on, but I am gonna take a drink of water 'cause, I hope you guys are having a fantastic Saturday, I'm telling you. Um, let's see. Rhonda said her first business was my first business was Forever Dreams. I love that. And then Robin, she's always got to put this in. Robin said, might be adding cruise specialist so I can stay true to my scuba niche. Robin will not let me forget that her niche is scuba. And I love that for her. Um, Let's see. Michelle said, "My name is Let's Gallivant is the only thing I've liked from the start. I feel like all other stuff has been developed on caffeine and good intentions." Been there, done that. Connie, I love it. You love the visualization. Visualization exercise. Wow. It's so powerful, right? And maybe I just grew up being an imaginative person, but I feel like I use visualization so much to just walk through the steps of a project, to imagine a new brand, imagine an evolution of a brand. So powerful. Let's see here. Rhonda said, Rhonda, she added her first associates last week. So doing the same thing. I love it. I love it. Um, Oh, I love this. Robin suggested could use a good session on adding associates and what people do besides signing up for the team membership. Okay, that's fair. Robin, I feel like you know some people at WorldVia that could help you with putting that information together. I'm just saying. I know we've talked about it. Well, I know we've talked about in different sessions, we talk about working with associates, but I will give you a hint the topic of building an agency and associates and working with associates is in the works for sure, and you're going to start to see some of our WorldVia Academy content start to be categorized by is this agent multi-agent agency owner content, or some of our in-person events will have a track specifically for associates of an agency. So, love it. We are definitely on that. Um, and Anthony chiming in on yes. Also check those Instagram and TikTok handles too. Yeah, I TikTok. When I say TikTok, I kind of giggle a little bit, but I am telling you, me personally, I'm discovering so many brands, so many content creators through TikTok, and it's being validated by so many marketing gurus who are saying, think about TikTok as your discover engine for you as a user or for you as a brand. People will find you on TikTok, and then they come to Instagram to come to your living room. Think about that as more of your house, what you showcase. I love that, I love that. Um, let's see. Looks like we get, wow, you guys I love this, I love this. You guys are chatting up a storm. Anthony, was giving his, 90 days, said, "Define my niche and clarify who my ideal client is. Get my brand in front of as many people as possible, especially past clients or a warm market. Don't be a secret agent. Getting a sale in 90 days as fast as possible to keep confidence and momentum high." Anthony, I love what you say about, getting that sale as fast as possible to keep confidence and momentum high because that is a very very true scenario. You will get into a scenario where you're in your head and you're working on all these things. You've got so many things that are in different places or different stages, and you're excited about them, but you don't see anything paying off. Everything you feel like you're doing it because you know it's what a business should do. You know it will be good for your business, but you don't know when it'll pay off. And you do get into your head, and when those little murmurs of doubt start trickling in, it is very hard to shoo them away. and it then can start to stall you a bit. That's just a mindset thing, right? That is something that we all go through as human beings. But w- being very focused, hyper focused on getting that first sale. I mean, there's a lot of things you got to do before you get that first sale. You got to get the lead in order to get that customer, right? So if I'm focused on getting my first sale, there's some if that's my priority, there's some decisions I will make right away in order to get there. I can get distracted if I think of other things that I should be doing. But if I'm focused on that, getting that first sale, there's a lot of things that you'll have a sense of urgency about making a decision on and making that thing happen. So I love that, Anthony, because you're right on the money there. That is something that it out of everything. If you say my goal is to start my business, there's no win there, or there's no sense of accomplishment because you'll start your business, but you'll know you need to get customers. So plant your flag in getting your first customer, and it makes it easier to make decisions. I I'll break it down in a very personal way, right? You know you need to pay rent every month, or your mortgage, or you won't have a place to stay. So, with that in mind, I bet you make sure that that money is in the bank account so you can pay the rent. That you make decisions every single month to ensure that that can happen. When you're starting your business, it starts to fall the way of it being a hobby when you make it about building your newsletter, building your website, getting your logo right. When you start making about the little components that make up your business, that is that's where you get distracted. But regardless of anything, you don't even need to have a website to get your first sale. Will it make it easier for you to get your first lead and for somebody to validate you as a professional travel advisor? Yes. But you don't need that. You can meet somebody at the hair salon and the conversation gets going. You have a couple of emails, video calls, you maybe meet them for coffee. You can sell that first customer without a website, without social media. All those things help, but I'm just saying, putting the focus where it truly needs to be it gives you an anchor in a very chaotic storm in getting started and growing your business. All right, guys, there was a lot of chat today, and I am over the moon that you were there. I was trying to pack in so much information, that, I had to make sure I talked about it all. I hope you had a good time today. I definitely did. So I'm gonna be back next week after I'm gonna be going to Celebration Key this week for Carnival. Is that it? That's gonna be exciting. And then I'm gonna be at the Forums down in South Florida, Cruise Compass, Beachside Bliss, and World Explorer. I'm going to go to those forums. So I'm excited. I hope I get to see you guys there. If not, make sure you do go over and join our Facebook group. Love to see you there. Say hi. If you're working on a marketing project, share it with the group. I'm sure they'd love to chime in, give you some encouragement, maybe give you some ideas. But again, I thank you for being here, and I hope something that we talked about today, get whether it's something I shared or it's something that Anthony, Robin, Rhonda, all the people, Brian, something that somebody shared that really inspired you. Because what I've learned being in the travel industry and specifically being in WorldVia Travel Network and meeting so many agency owners and advisors is that this is a truly inclusive industry, that there are so many different ways to be successful here, but the thing that I find, as the clue to everything is being connected to a vibrant community of inspired business owners. I there's just nothing like it. You've seen people share today that they wish they had done this in the first 90 days. They're doing it now, but they're still not done with it. It's just a community of people who are truly real people and we're all trying to do the best that we can do, and that is all you can do. So, for me to you, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and I will see you real soon. Take care. Bye.